Don Parish, we are in St. Joseph's Cathedral, Proto-Cathedral for the Diocese of Bardstown, now a basilica, and we're here at the altar where you have some specialized knowledge of the science, history, and culture surrounding this magnificent temple. Tell me first about the painting up top here.
The painting is of the crucifixion, obviously. It was done by a gentleman by the name of Van Bree, and it was completed in 1821. This was commissioned, I believe, by Louis Philippe, because he was the donor.
Oh, he donated that.
That is correct.
And this is the same Louis Philippe who was an exile traveling in Kentucky about 1797 with two of his brothers and an entourage, and they stayed at the Talbot Tavern, where some of the entourage painted scenes from their travels in France. I saw them before they were altered and somewhat destroyed by the fire at the Talbot Tavern in 1998, but they're still there, and you can see the remnants and understand that contact between Bardstown and the French monarchy and between King Louis Philippe, who would be restored to the throne from the Orleans branch, and the gifts he made to this church based on the time he spent here. The figures in this picture are Christ on the cross, Mary Magdalene at his feet, and the Mother Mary on his right. But we don't know who the person to the far right is.
I don't recall who the fourth figure is.
Now, Louis Philippe also made another gift to the church, and that gift was the gift of the tabernacle. Is that right?
That is correct.
And this tabernacle is still used to home the consecrated host, but you'll see on its bronze cover describe what you see on that.
Okay, well, that would be the Lamb of God, which was the sacrificial lamb, and the Bible is acting as the altar table. You can see the tabs hanging from the Bible.
And the sword in the sacrifice.
Yes, and then there's actually a dagger is the method of sacrifice.
Now, you told me earlier, and I'd like to have you describe it again. What lies underneath this cloth?
This is the original altar that was installed when Flagey built the cathedral. It had been used for 60 or 70 years or so, and was taken out by a pastor back in the late 1800s. He installed a hand-carved and very pretty Victorian-style altar, but it was not really fitting to the architecture of the church. So later, that altar was removed. Actually, it was about to fall down because it had become dangerous. But it actually went all the way up to the ceiling, and it was removed. And what you see now was installed. Now this was found under the floor where I stand, and then
found by your father.
My father.
So your father was doing restoration activities here in the church?
That's correct.
In what years?
1961, 62, and 63. He had a crew of people in here for 3 years.
And although he was not a Catholic.
He was not a Catholic himself. I think all of his employees were.
Yeah, and you are, certainly.
Certainly. Mm-hmm.
So tell me the story about what happened and how he found this.
Well, they took this floor up. Originally, this was a wood floor, a beautiful maple and walnut floor. And the then pastor wanted a marble floor. So he took all of the flooring up and discovered this altar lying long ways right here in the center of the sanctuary.
So that when they had removed it, they didn't carry it out, they just buried it right here.
They just buried it right here. It weighed almost 5,000 pounds.
What did your father think when he uncovered this unusual object?
He was surprised to see it, and he went and found the pastor and brought him over because there was no one that had any idea that it was laying there. And then the pastor took one look at it and looked at my dad, and he says, "You must be sworn to secrecy that you'll never tell anybody what you have found, because some fool will want to replace it back where it came from."
And did that fool ever turn up? Yes, yourself, is it? And when did that happen?
It was in 1978.
So 15 years later.
Yeah.
Did you talk to the pastor at the time saying, "I know where the altar is"?
No, by that time the pastor that in question had passed away.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it to the current pastor, and he gave me permission to remove it. But it didn't actually make its way back in here until the bicentennial celebration began.
What year was that?
And that was in 2008.
Well, how did you remove it if it was underneath this time?
We cut a hole in the back of the brick wall underneath this floor, and managed to pull it out with a boom truck.
How big was, or how thick was that brick wall?
The brick wall was 3 feet thick.
So it was three layers of brick then, huh?
No, it was actually 36 inches deep. So it was something like 9 layers of brick.
Wow.
A lot of brick came out.
And so you just kind of chiseled your way in like some burglar, some character from a novel of a mystery nature.
It could be.
And you pulled it out, and then in the bicentennial you said, "Okay, let's put it back."
And that suggested it, and it was the idea was met with open arms.
How did you cart it in here?
We put it on a cart and shoved it up the aisle. I had some folks from Louisville who dealt with this marble flooring, and he said we can get it in here and in place without doing any damage. And sure enough, he did.
Well, I would say that is a wonderful story, and exactly the Science, History, and Culture of My Surrounding series. So I would say, welcome to Reggie's realm, but I think that would be quite wrong. I think instead I would say, welcome to the realm of Bishop Flagey and Don Parrish. It's kind of groovy in here. I hope you'll come back. Very nifty.